Now at 5.
A suspected drunk driver crashes into a children's community center. Hear from families that are affected.
Plus, State Senator Karen Maine stepping down, her reasons, and how lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are responding. And snow stacking several feet in our mountains. When the snow melts, some Utahns may see the benefit, where our snowpack is making a difference in our drought.
Live from Utah's first TV station, ABC4 News celebrates 75 years.
Good evening, I'm Glenn Mills.
And I'm Emily Flores. We thank you for joining us here today. Tonight, parents of students of Alta High School can rest easier after officers did not find a bomb or explosive device in a suspicious bag that was left on campus.
We did speak to police on scene who say a former Alta student left behind that bag, prompting concerns and evacuations. Though officers have now determined the school and area around it are safe.
We needed to look at things. This day and age, you can't just just let things go.
The county bomb squad bringing a robot in with the ability to x-ray the bag and bomb dogs to sniff out any possible explosive, and they did not find one. Investigators will still look into whether that former student did commit any crimes on campus.
In Salt Lake County now, a children's community center left in ruin after a suspected drunk driver crashed through it on New Year's Eve.
Luckily, no one was in the building because of the holiday, but families who count on sending their children there for care are now left wondering what to do next. ABC4's Kayla Baggerly live in Kearns tonight. And Kayla, you spoke to some of those parents, so what are their concerns?
Well, Glenn, those families said that this was definitely a huge surprise, and they rely on a lot of resources provided by the center, like free meals and childcare. And now navigating with the center closed has been hard. Now, right here, you can see where that car crashed through the building, leaving a huge hole in the wall and rubble throughout the classroom. Here you're seeing shocking footage of a car careening near 4820 West, ripping through two fences and then crashing into the wall of the Kearns Early Childhood Head Start Center. Police say this happened around 10:30 at night on New Year's Eve. They say the driver, a 21-year-old woman, was taken to the hospital and is suspected of driving under the influence. There were two other men in the car they're still looking for. Utah Community Action, which runs these programs, says they're vital for families with young children that are experiencing poverty. Cassie Groh, who has two children who go there, says her kids have been able to continue learning virtually, but the closure has been difficult.
So I can't afford childcare, and I depend on that a lot in order to go to work. Or my daughter here has special needs, so she has a lot of doctor appointments, at least 2 or 3 a week, and it's been tough taking all the kids with me.
Utah Community Action says they're looking into moving students that go here into another location in West Valley City early next week. As for when this classroom at Kearns will be usable again, they say they're not sure. Reporting live in Kearns, Kayla Baggerly, ABC4 News.
Thank you, Kayla. Happening tonight, Salt Lake City School District voting on a new president and vice president of the Board of Education. The biennial elections will determine who will oversee major decisions and direct the district over the next 2 years. The voting part of tonight's meeting underway shortly, but not until a closed session ends where the candidate's character, health, and competence is evaluated. This after NAACP's Salt Lake branch president, Janetta Williams, released an open letter to the current vice president voicing her strong opposition to his candidacy for president.
A longtime state senator is resigning her seat for health issues. Senator Karen Maine, the former Senate minority leader and a Utah senator of 14 years, turning in her letter of resignation today. She will officially leave that role on January 16th. Her colleagues stepping up to voice their support and respect for the senator. Senate President Stuart Adams saying this is a huge loss for our state. Mayne reaching across the aisle every session to move the state forward with bipartisan support.
That is something I hope the rest of the nation would pay attention to. It's kind of a sad day for many of us because we see a great friend actually leave the Senate.
Mayne announcing she was diagnosed with cancer last January and had to take some time away from the legislature. But she says her health has taken such a turn that she feels she just cannot serve her constituents the way they deserve. She was consistently one of the most effective lawmakers in terms of the number of bills she passed on a yearly basis.
And in national politics now, a standstill in Washington, D.C. as House Republicans failed to elect in a new House Speaker. Now the battle for the gavel making history. Representative Kevin McCarthy failing to win election by the majority on the first vote. It's the first time this has happened in 100 years. Now, after failed vote number 6, some Republicans growing frustrated. That includes Utah's congressmen who stand united behind McCarthy. Representative Chris Stewart saying, quote, a small group of egotistical members are currently holding up the House Speaker vote, saying they just want 15 minutes of fame.
Today marking 127 years since Utah officially became the 45th state.
Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson celebrating Statehood Day by looking back at the perseverance it took to get here. After 6 attempts for statehood by pioneers in the territory of Utah in 1896, Utah finally joined the Union. Lieutenant Governor noting Governor Spencer Cox's special nod to the historic day, a pair of socks flaunting the outgoing state flag.
Time now for a first look at the weather forecast. Okay, I go to California.
Oh,
and I come back and I cannot believe all that snow. It was like the 90s all over again.
So much snow. Okay, welcome back to Utah, Glenn.
Yeah, thank you.
Alana, we have more on the way, right?
We tried to get it all in before Glenn got back. It was a surprise. Glenn, we wanted to surprise you.
Surprise!
Yeah, 90s snow.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good
I'm
one.
glad I missed the storm, though.
Well, you're not going to miss the next one. You're going to be here for it because it's rolling in and it's going to impact us as we make it towards the end of our work week. We start, though, with a gorgeous sunset here. Cache Valley, really pretty shot coming out of Utah State. You see the cloud cover there. It's cold up in Logan, sitting in the 20s, and it's the only area where we're seeing, as you look towards the mountains there, that haze. Yeah, elevated particulate matter. What's what we're dealing with moderate air up in Cache, but clean air throughout the rest of northern and eastern Utah. Great news there, and we're going to keep that because of our active pattern. This next storm's getting ready to move on in. A warm front impacting us now. Temperatures, as I mentioned, in the 20s in Cache Valley, 30s for Ogden and Salt Lake, freezing in Provo, 44 in St. George. Now the warmth is going to move in as we make it into our Thursday. That atmospheric river going to target a portion of the Beehive State. There's our front, increasing clouds as a result. And yes, our area of high pressure, short-lived, things changing. This warm front is just a bit of an appetizer of what's to come. And as a result, we've got a new winter storm watch posted for the southern mountains. Not the only area looking at accumulating snow. Will you see it? I'll answer the question coming up in my full forecast in just a few moments. Glenn, Emily, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alana.
The greatest snow on earth really earning its name this year with an incredible start to the winter season. And the snow just seems like it just keeps piling up.
Because it does. With decades-long drought afflicting the West, we need the snow. But just how much is incredible snow out of snow helping the state? ABC Forest Meteorologist Nate Larson has been checking in on the latest snowfall numbers to answer that question for us here this evening. Nate?
That's right. We've got incredible snowfall amounts, as you guys have mentioned. Emily and Glenn, we're looking at a season snowfall total so far for Brighton, up Big Cottonwood Canyon, Alta, up Little Cottonwood Canyon, over 300 inches. And so, of course, that's going to make an impact. Those numbers are more typical of late February than early parts of January. And, of course, with the early start to the heavy snow, we are looking pretty incredible as far as some of the snowpack numbers are concerned. We're going to go over some of those. But speaking of Alta, they've had the snowiest December reported in the last decade with a little over 13 feet just last month. So it's been incredible to see. And as I mentioned, 308 inches, which is about 25 feet so far for the season. Now let's talk about some of the snowpack numbers. I'll show you the map here. It's got the entire state generally above 150% of normal, reporting 171%. So when we talk about percentage of normal, this is the snow water equivalent, or how much moisture is embedded in the snowpack. And with precipitation to date, all of the states sitting at 137% of normal. And so experts are hopeful that the storms will continue, but they know it's early in the season and our outlook can change very quickly.
We are a little cautious because last year we had about 9 inches, quite early, and then it was like it turned off the faucet and we had nothing for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, we know things can change. It's still pretty early. I mentioned we're sitting at about mid to late February snowpack in the mountains, which is great. We're at 10.1 inches of snow water equivalent. That's statewide. Our peak snowpack happens first part of April, and we average about 15.8 inches of snow water equivalent, so of moisture in the mountains. So we've got a ways to go. We need the storms to keep coming. Hopefully we can keep that momentum going. Live in the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon, I'm meteorologist Nate Larson, ABC4 News.
Nate, thank you. Today, avalanche mitigation efforts shutting down the Cottonwood Canyons once again.
Yes, both little and big are back open now, but this morning a different story. UDOT helicopter dropping explosives to blow up snow buildup, creating a series of smaller avalanches like the one you see here. This all to prevent a bigger snowslide from harming or even killing a future recreator. Just this week, a snowmobiler in the Uintas caught in an avalanche. Luckily, they walked away without injury.
We can't say we're done. We can't say that this is going to lead to anything else. We just don't know.
Still ahead, earthquakes shaking the Beehive State. Learn about the swarm in Cache Valley, and is Utah prepared for the possibility of a big one?
And there's that live look at Cedar City. You can see the cloud cover. Some showers can't be ruled out down at the Cedar City Airport. They're sitting in the mid-30s. That would be some light rain showers as a warm front impacts the state. It's just the start. We've got changes on the way. We're tracking them in Utah's most accurate forecast.